Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday night's edition of Paranormal Question of the Day. We'll be right back right after the short intro. Hey everyone, this is Darren Bust with Paranormal Question of the Day. Tonight's guests are having JD Hill. We're going to be talking about podcasting, paranormal stuff, paranormal locations, you name it, we'll talk about it. Grab a cup of coffee, get some popcorn, get some snacks. It's going to be a lot of fun. See you soon. And we are back. So, there's nobody on yet. Of course, it's Monday.
Right. That's all right.
I'll get that link up there in the bottom so people can see that. So there's that. And
now, you edit, or is this just off the cuff? You're live and
off the cuff. We are
nice.
live.
Yep. That's what I do.
I feel it's more. I feel more better doing it off the cuff, being live, and
it's genuine.
Oh yeah, that's the way I like it.
I've had episodes or shows that I've done that haven't gone well, but
Lori.
Hi, Lori.
And we got Mr. Scott Poser, the guy I was just telling you about.
Nice.
So hopefully he's doing good. He's starting his third book of Ed Gein that he's writing on. So, but other than that, yeah, we got a bit of a crowd coming in. Slowly but surely, they'll come in. I know some people are probably getting done with work and they'll just catch us later on. But tonight's guest, we have Mr. J.D. Hill. How you doing, sir?
I am doing fantastic. How are you, man?
Doing good, and we have a little bit psycho. I'm not going to attempt to say the last name.
Nice.
She's funny.
Hey, what's up, little bit psycho?
So, for those of you who do not know who JD Hill is, Mr. J, would you like to tell everybody who you are and what you are doing?
Sure. My name's Jay Hill. I am the CEO and founder of Studio 6 Productions. I also am the creator of Studio 6 Paranormal Podcast, The Cemetery Files, and soon to arrive on Friday, Paranormal Triangle with Kelly Schaefer and David Taylor from Our Haunted Lives on Paraflix.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I'm also a psychic medium. I do speeches, events. I also do psychic walkthroughs for people who in paranormal world and paranormal field that need an active psychic medium to help them to figure out maybe what's in their location. I actually did that with Taryn Kerper once. It was virtual. It was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of great information. So yeah, I'm busy, and you can find me everywhere. So every platform down to Threads to TikTok, I'm on it.
Wow.
So yeah.
Mr. Tom Nally is in. He is part of VB3 TV. And Melanie, how you doing? Welcome to the show. It's nice to see new faces in the chat here.
Yeah, when do I sleep? That's a great question. I do
take your time.
Yeah, I also work too, so I'm also a grill chef in a private country club that's actually haunted. So,
did they let you investigate it?
I don't try to, just because it's a private country club and the members. I kind of keep a low profile, but I have been kind of in contact with a few spirits that are there. And it's right on Native American land. It's Potawatomi land. So
okay.
Well, you know where Fontana is.
Right. Well, it's close to Janesville, isn't it?
No, Fontana is right on the other end of Lake Geneva. On the lake.
Nope.
Really?
Never heard of it, actually.
You should look it up. It's pretty cool. It's got 3 towns on it: Lake Geneva, Williams Bay, and Fontana. Fontana used to be considered Bigfoot land for the
Oh, okay.
Potawatomi. And so yeah, so they were kind of driven off the land, and eventually some people prominent from Chicago bought it and made it into a private home and this and that whatnot. And then when the gentleman passed away, they sold it to Legion in Lake Geneva back in 1923, and they made it into a private country club, and it's been a golf course country club ever since.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could golf, but no, somebody will
Yeah.
have to see my ball for me.
Yeah, you're up in Oshkosh, so
Yep. Yeah,
yeah,
I make my dad follow my golf balls if we ever go golfing. It's been like 7 years since I golf last.
yeah. I haven't had time. This summer was so busy, I didn't have time to golf or do anything. So yeah, but
It's a good relaxing sport if you got the patience for it.
we had members, gentlemen, that um, rain or shine, these guys were out there golfing, and our last day for golfing was last Friday, and there were people out there. And now it's skeet shooting. The
Oh,
season
okay.
starts for skeet shooting out there uh, right before Thanksgiving. So yeah,
Interesting.
yep, yep.
Yeah, I hibernate now.
Yeah. I can't stand winter.
I
Um,
can't either.
I do not like cold. If it's not 90 degrees, I'm unhappy.
Hmm.
It's got to be sunshine. I'm not the dreary, rainy. Thunderstorms are different.
Yep.
When it comes to rain and that spit rain and out, yeah, no, no, that's to me that's annoying.
I
So
keep the shorts alive. I'll shovel snow in my shorts.
now, um, I I like the heat so much that I usually wear my thick wool socks all year round.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, especially when I work. I mean, and I'm working in a 500-degree grill, and
Hmm.
I've either got long sleeves on or yeah, and or a sweatshirt or yeah,
That helps keep the weight down, right?
yeah, it does.
Because
You
I
know.
know a guy when I used to work at George's Gaslight. I had a cook that came in and he would wear one of those thick parkas,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 95 degrees outside, and he'll wear it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
kind of sounds like me. Yeah,
I look at him and I was like, "You're nuts."
yeah. My boss thinks I'm nuts too. I would come in there, with a sweatshirt and like when it's still nice and warm, and he's like, "What are you thinking?" It's like,
I
it
see. I
is what
like
it
watching
is.
Yeah, it is. I like watching tornadoes and all that stuff. So I'm on those chasers. I'll watch chaser shows all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But um, so what did you? How did you get into the paranormal field? And when did you realize that you were a psychic medium?
Um. So the paranormal has basically been a part of my life since I can remember. I had my first true paranormal experience when I was 16. Saw my first full body apparition, standing at the foot of my bed. And then that same night, my sister experienced the same lady at the end of her bed.
Hmm.
So I knew that there was some type of legitimacy there. So I always kind of knew when bad things were going to happen. I kind of was sensitive to that. I'm a very emotional person, more so than I would like to be, but
Hmm.
that's just the way I am. And so yeah, I've always been fascinated by the paranormal. And to be honest, I have to say that um, Scooby Doo got me started
Hey,
back in the
no better way.
1970s. Right. I remember when Scooby Doo was on TV. I was probably 3 or 4, and I'd be in front of it, and I just thought it was the most awesomest cartoon ever. And I for some reason, I just loved it, And so whenever Halloween would come around, I'd always want to go to a haunted house, and that never happened. But I couldn't even go trick or treating. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it more of a religious thing that you couldn't do that, or?
Uh, yeah, my family didn't uh, believe in it. They were some crazies out there, and so they just wanted to protect us. And as answer for Melanie, no, there's two of me. I'm a Gemini. Yeah.
uh, well, I mean, the thing is, I was watching shows. There was a guy that was out there that claims that he killed Halloween basically because I think poisoned his own kids or something like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he went to jail or prison, and then he ended up was it like late 90s? He ended up dying in prison, um, but so to speak, he is one of those guys that so to speak killed Halloween, and that's why things are the way they are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
people come by and snatch you in the cars and take off with you. Um,
Yeah.
but I kind of wonder though, is there like, what are your thoughts on like UFOs and alien abductions and stuff like that? Do you think that might have a play in some of those Halloween nights sometimes?
Um, I don't know. As far as UFOs, um, yeah, I there's two categories that basically are not on my radar, and UFOs and Bigfoot are the two. I mean, I could say, yeah, aliens have probably been here for eons. So just
Hmm.
because we can't see them doesn't mean they're not here. I mean, I'm sure
Right.
that they interact with the world for a long time. And that's just my opinion. Um, as far as Bigfoot, we have Bray Road Beast
Hmm.
down here. There's been movies on it. There's been books on it.
Doc.
I've never seen it. I've talked to different people who said they've seen it. I've never seen it. I take it with a grain of salt. Um,
Hmm.
as far as having, with the UFOs and Halloween, um, I don't think so. I don't
Yeah.
think it has any correlation with that. That's
I mean,
just my
it's
opinion.
well, and yeah, and that's just it. I mean, this whole field is one big opinion on everything.
Pretty much. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like, I mean, we can agree to disagree, and some
Hmm.
people get offended by that. You know what I mean? Which shouldn't. Hey,
Oh,
Denise.
you'll want to tune in on when I release the Friday show for excuse me for the Paranormal Triangle. That's
Hmm.
that's going to be interesting to say the least, and people with opinions, that's going to be one of them. And
Oh, and that's good though, because I like that because that makes the field that much more interesting.
all right.
And
Hmm.
you just keep on talking about it because sometimes
Right.
there's never going to be end to it. There's always going to be learning to do it.
Right.
Um, and if you think you know it all, well, you might as well get out of the field then.
Right. You're in the
I
wrong
mean,
field if you think you know it all in the paranormal world.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate the word professional.
Yeah, and there are no experts. I'm not an
Hmm.
expert in anything and remotely close to that. I just know what I'm able to do.
Hmm.
My abilities and my conversations I've had with other people about the paranormal doesn't make me an expert, doesn't make me a professional. It's just we're all in it. Unless you went to school for that, unless they actually had a college and said, yeah, the paranormal college of so and so and so and so, here's your degree, I might be inclined to say there's a professional.
Right.
You know what I mean? But until we cross that bridge, yeah, everybody is basically trying to search for the same answers. You
I mean,
know.
I would say for those who've been in the field for 20 to 30 years, comparative, maybe almost 10 for me,
Hmm.
I would say they're just paranormally more advanced.
The best way to describe what you just talked about is these are seasoned investigators.
Hmm.
That's all they are. They're seasoned. They've been there. They've done that. They know some of the ins and outs of things. Does that make them an expert? No, I don't think it. There's
Hmm.
not an expert, but there's people out there that are that have a little bit more knowledge than other people, but
Yeah.
the only, having all that extra knowledge is the best way to utilize that is to share it.
Hmm. And a lot of
So
people don't want to. They want to keep it to themselves.
they want to keep it for themselves, right? Yeah. No, I'm
And
all
if
about education for that.
right, right. Sometimes I think they feel that, oh, you're gonna steal my idea, and now I
Oh, good
can't,
Lord. Yeah, no.
put an LLC behind it because, I mean, like I said, I just had a Bible REM pod made with a motion
Hmm.
activated on one end and a REM pod on the other end. And I had Travis Wasaki from Wasaki Paranormal out of Iowa. He's the first one to make it. I've never seen everyone have it. I've
Hmm.
had Josh Hurd play with it. You
Hmm.
know, I'm like, hey, run it through its paces. Um, just because I'm the first to have it, other people like it, go make another one. If
Right.
it works, it works.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's the way I feel about it. Stick with what works, and if it doesn't work, do something else. What works for you may not work for him, and what may work for him may not work for me.
There's so many different avenues when it comes to being in the paranormal field that people can take, for learning or for experience or ideas or opinions, or it's a vast, and some people don't like the word field. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
well, okay, call it whatever you want to call it, but in the paranormal world, because that's basically what we all participate in when we're trying to discover if there's a spirit here or the history behind it, or you know so there's so many different avenues to that. It's just like, man, do what you do, be you,
Right. Exactly.
and not try to
It's
be don't try to fit into somewhere that you struggle to fit into. If you feel that you don't fit into that certain circle, don't bother.
mhm,
Make your own
exactly.
circle, you
Exactly.
know
It is hard enough just to be yourself as it is in
Yeah, no
general as a
kidding. And
person.
then when you throw paranormal mix in there, oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Then
just,
it's like,
I mean,
okay, let's shrink the head a little bit. Get away
right,
from
right,
the big
right.
heads.
It's kind of turned into high school, I mean,
Oh
it's like,
yeah. Does my head
yeah,
fit in your
yeah.
head?
Right, right, right. So
I
yeah.
don't know. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't call anybody out publicly or even on Facebook wise, because to me that's just, you're heading down the wrong avenue when you start doing that stuff,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you're creating an unwanted war on other people. So I just like, I have my disagreements with some people, and I just keep it to myself most of the
Right,
time.
right. Unless
Unless,
somebody has physically assaulted me or
mm-hmm,
has affected me in that way where you come into contact with me. Yeah, you can say all you want to say and post all you want to post. I mean, they call them sitting behind the keyboard is the keyboard warriors, and they think that they can do and say, which is fine. They can do and say whatever they want,
mm-hmm,
as long as you're doing you and being you, and you know continuing on that path that only you have.
right,
It doesn't matter, you know.
yeah. Everybody's got
You
a
know,
different path.
right? Everybody has a different path, and like I said this a thousand times. Every single person is different. Their paths are different. There's not one single person on this planet that is identical. And
Unless
that's
you have a
down to,
doppelganger.
yeah. Yeah, well, that's in looks only, because I
Right.
guarantee you that, we see the Aaron Rodgers doppelganger who's from England or Manchester, wherever he's from. It looks a lot like him, almost like him, but two different people. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny that there's got to be humor in it somewhere. You know,
Right.
I
Right.
can't even imagine another one of me running around. Shit, I'd be like,
I
yeah,
don't want to
no,
look at it. If there's another
right,
one of me around, at least I hope it has two working eyes.
right, yeah,
And I'll ask him a whole bunch
right,
of questions.
right, right, right. So, hey, if it's got a better job than me, great. I'm happy.
Hey, Jamie
You
Lynn.
guys looking, Jamie Lynn. Thank you for showing up. She was on. She chimed in on me and Kelly's Cemetery Pal show today too. She chimed in for a few minutes. I know she's really busy, and she's a big supporter of what we do and in the
Right.
paranormal. And so if anybody who knows who Jamie Lynn is, please shout out to her because she is a fantastic person.
Oh, yes. She
So,
helps a lot of people in many different ways,
hmm
and
yep,
even if it doesn't look
yep,
like it, she does. She does
yeah. We love
the
we love you,
behind the
Jamie Lynn.
scenes.
Yep.
So she's helped my friend Scott out a lot, and
hmm
so
hmm
I mean, she'll do what she can, and it's very appreciated.
Right. And it's people like that we need more in the paranormal world with. You know what I mean? That ability to support and to help people, and it's just you know there's people are not doing their journey in the paranormal by
Mm-hmm.
themselves. We have a vast network of supporters, and it just sometimes it takes a little time for people to notice who you are and what you're doing and stuff like that. So but yeah, it's if your intention is great and your heart's great, then and you want to be able to help other people, you're going to be found.
Right.
And people like Jamie, they found us, me and Kelly, at the Paracon, and she was so glad that she got to meet us and we got to meet her. And yeah, so that energy kind of stands out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure does.
kudos to you, Jamie. You're the best.
So let's talk a little bit about your psychic abilities, and
Okay.
when did you realize you had them?
Um Things really didn't start happening until my 20s. I mean, I had a couple experiences when I was growing up in my teens and this and that, but I was going through my teen years, so I wasn't really paying too much attention to that. But I did have a few probably not really mentionable moments, but I just kind of were like fleeting. But when I was in my 20s, I actually had a couple instances where I was, for lack of word, assaulted um, by a spirit that was um, very unsavory and not very nice. And yeah, so, but it was at a location that actually had some very negative energy to it. And I was able to see that in pictures. And that was one of the first time that I really paid attention to it. So after that, I basically, as time went on, I would experience a few things here and there. And I was still kind of running away from who I was, with drugs or alcohol or whatever. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be myself. I wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
something else.
Right.
And so when I got past my 30s, I was still drinking quite a bit. And after I hit 42 is when I had my stroke. And yeah, it was one of the strangest things because of the fact that I wanted to marry this girl, my wife now, and spirit said you can't take alcohol to the table. You have to get rid of it. And I said, I don't know how. I need help
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of it. I know I can't do it on my own. And that morning I woke up and that's when I had my stroke. I didn't know
Wow.
what it was. I didn't know what was going on, but immediately when I woke up, I had no desire to drink. I couldn't even remember what alcohol tasted like because all of that happened. It took that away, and yeah, I went through the whole thing, and I walked with a cane for 9 months, and had a speech impediment for about 6 months, and after that, 9 months after that, I went back to work. I worked in a warehouse, and then I kept pushing forward, and then I quit drinking 2013, and then after that I was going up and down and up and down with my emotions because I that was a very traumatic event and I had to heal. And
Mm-hmm.
so probably about 5 years later is when I really to pay attention. Not five, I would say probably three. I started paying attention to who I was and my gifts, and you know had that confirmation from a couple other mediums. One of them was my mentor, um, and she when I talked to her the first time, she said, "Holy cow!" She said, "You are very gifted and you are very protected," and things I kind of already knew.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wanted to basically um, put me in one of her classes, and to after but after talking with me for an hour, she says, "Nope, I'm not going to do that." She's like, "This is remedial for you." She's like, "I need to work with you one on one," and so she did. And she helped me with a lot of different exercises, a lot of different things, and I take these, those things today, to heart, and I listen to her. Shauna Marie is her name, and she's very good. She's on Facebook, and
Okay.
she lives up in Minnesota, and yeah. So I was blessed. Um, I started, reaching out to other people and helping people, and realized this is who I am. You know, I am not really the type. I have charged for my services in the past, not a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I'm basically prompted to go where spirit tells me to go.
Mm-hmm.
Where I need to be, who I need to kind of talk to, who I run into. Yes, you need to talk to that person. That type of thing. I don't advertise myself. A lot of people think I should. I don't have that drive to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someday, but right now I am more concerned with where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
not looking so far in the future that, I don't want to plan out my life. You know what I mean? I kind of want to see how it's going to unfold. It's like
Right.
turning a blank page and you can write it. You know what I mean?
It's a
So,
day by day thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's how
So,
I like to live my life too, because you know, uh, people when they um like schedule all their locations and all that stuff like that, it's like I can't do that.
hmm
You know,
hmm
I have to do it when I know I can do it, and then I'll
hmm
do it. But
right,
I'm
right.
a day by day person because I work in a factory myself, and that's hard enough as it is on life.
I did that for years. Fork truck, boxing, inventory, whole nine yards. I got tired of it. It
Yeah.
was turning me into an asshole. And so I
Oh.
went back to where I started, which was cooking, which when I learned how to cook when I was 19. And then I
Hmm.
worked in restaurants for 10 years after that. And then went into the warehouse because that's where the money was,
Yeah.
And now the script is flipped. Now you can make decent money in a restaurant.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm making more money now than I did when I was working in a warehouse. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So I get
I'm
that whole aspect. Yeah.
right. Right. I got
Mhm.
23 years in at Oshkosh Corp.
Holy
So
crap, dude. Kudos to you. Congrats. I'm sorry and congrats.
yeah, and I was having a talk with a friend of mine yesterday. It's kind of like, okay, you got 23 years in. If truck were to go under, what would you do? I said I'd be stuck because I wouldn't know what to do except for what I do here in
Right,
paranormal
right,
investigations,
right.
and do tours at the museum. But I would be at loss for words, really.
Hmm.
But but it's a hard road. It was a fought road. Still
Hmm.
fighting, like you said.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. You just gotta
um
stick to your path.
yeah, and that's just it. It's like I have learned enough to, after my 8 hour shift, that stuff stays here. Now your life,
Hmm.
other life begins.
Right, right, right.
So
You have to rely
uh
on what your intuition and your heart says. And that's you put that on the path, you put that right there, and that's what you follow. A lot of
hmm
people want to forget that and follow the shortcut path or the really shortcut path, or you know what I mean? And then you know where they end up, and then they
right,
have to double back to get back to where they were originally, and thinking, why does my life suck? And it's like,
right.
huh, that's your choice. Everybody's got free will. Hello.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
it's not
not
like someone's holding
scripted.
a gun to my head to stay there.
Right,
It's just,
right, right, right.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it does feel like it, but
Yeah, it does. But you just have to have faith in yourself that you're on the right path.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely. I'm happy if I get 5 more years, and I get 5 more years.
Right,
So,
right. And the biggest thing with that, and with you, how many years that you've worked at this place, you know the type of people to have in your inner circle.
mhm,
You know the group of people that you have to have around you for you to be able to continue to go to work every day to do that, and not
exactly.
be surrounded by people who are just going to either bleed you dry with emotions, or you know treat you in a poor way, or you've learned, as such as I have over the years, surrounding yourself with the positive people is key to your success.
Oh
Because if
yeah.
you have a bunch of leeches and a bunch of people who are just complainers, and that just want to suck the life out of you for their own benefit, so that they have energy,
Mhm.
yeah, you're not going to last much longer in that aspect. You're going to spiral, and then you're going to figure out, why am I here,
Yeah.
so yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I've also learned to just let it go in one ear and out the other, and just keep moving and put my head
Mm-hmm.
down.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Right.
it's just,
Staying focused is the biggest thing too. You're
oh
gonna come.
yes.
You're gonna come across speed bumps. Everybody does, but it's how
Oh,
you handle that speed bump, or how fast you go over that speed bump. You know
oh
what I mean?
yes. I had a boss that made me feel sick every day to my stomach.
Right. I've had that too. We got a lot in common when it comes to warehouse. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. But it
I
made
just,
me focus on, I can't do this anymore. I was at the end of my rope. I did this
mhm.
job for 9 years, going on 9 years, and I was like, you know, I need to change. I need, I'm done. And that's when I looked for another job in the restaurant business, and my job's only 20 minutes away, you
That's
know.
not bad. I mean,
No.
it's, you know, the issue I had with the guy that made me have an upset stomach for basically 5 years. Um,
Oh.
he was an ex-Marine guy,
Mhm.
and he thought he could say and do whatever he wanted to me, and
Mhm.
gave me no respect. And it just got to the point where it's like, okay, you give me this number, and I'm gonna double it on you.
Mhm.
And at to the point of, at the end of 5 years, I finally gained his respect because I stood up to him and I says, "I'm done taking your shit."
Mhm.
And that was it. He stopped. He stopped being such a jerk to me, and it's like, okay, I guess we want to play hardball. We're gonna play hardball, and you know, and then he
Right.
left me alone.
Is he still there?
No, he's dead.
Wow, what a great story there. Holy crap. Oh, wow. I was not expecting that. Oh, no, he's dead.
Yeah, he's been
Holy,
gone for 6, 7 years.
oh my gosh. Wow.
So, yeah, I'm like, yeah, he got what he was coming to him. But
Mhm.
but I feel bad because the thing is, he was respected. He was.
Mhm.
But I don't wish cancer onto anybody. I
Right,
don't care
right,
how much of a rotten person you are, you still don't deserve to have cancer.
right, right.
So,
Yep. No, I get it. Yep.
but
Uh,
so there you go. That's the end of that one.
wow.
um, moving on.
Moving
Um,
on.
so what was your favorite location so far that you have investigated, and is there any that you have that you don't want to go back to, so to speak?
Um, I no longer want to be doing residential locations.
Hmm.
Um, there's too many. Darren got the last laugh too.
Right.
So, I learned early on when I was doing investigations with the Wisconsin Paranormal Research, that I created. There's too many variables that things can go wrong at a a residential investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And because of who I am and the things that I could sense and the validity of some of these places that want you to show up to their house or their residence were kind of suspect, and I didn't want to deal with that anymore. I didn't, there were some that were legit and some that just wanted to mess with people and the
Mm-hmm.
paranormal people. So I ixnayed that. I won't do that anymore. I don't even do house cleansing. I mean, I can give that person the idea. I can give them the instructions of how to take care of it themselves because everybody has the ability to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that is the one places that I will not go back to. So, the place that I would still continue to go to is called the Maxwell Mansion Boutique Hotel, which is in Lake Geneva. It's the oldest building in Lake Geneva. It's built in 1856. And I actually did my first podcast there for almost a year. I think I did it a year, and I actually had quite a bit of activity on live TV. So
Wow.
yeah, that was kind of fun. I've had great guests that were able to share that experience with me doing that. Um, Other places, um, if I'm not seriously drawn to it, or if it's something that I'm not um, connected to in some way,
Hey,
like
Michael.
my brain kind of forgets it. You
Mm-hmm.
could talk about it and be like, "Oh yeah, I was there," and some people, everybody has different experiences. I have particular ones that are memorable, but not a lot of them that I talk about. That I want to go back to this one or this one, just because of the fact that when I started investigating hardcore was when COVID started, and then nobody wanted anybody near their business or their
Mm-hmm.
building or their. So, we went through that for a while, and that kind of dissolved the Wisconsin Paranormal Research team. I finally just said, you know what, my team, one of them quit, didn't even say anything. She just kind of went her own way, and one of them moved to Texas, and the other one moved to Tennessee. And I was just left by myself, and I just thought it was time, and so I just disbanded it and called it quits, and then focused on my mediumship page and focused on I have another paranormal team called Souls Paranormal,
Okay.
and which is spirits of unlife spirits of untold life stories. So
It's a good title.
that's yeah. So I came up with that when I was sleeping. I don't know. I was in and out of sleep, and that came up to me. It came to me, and I'm like, okay, I'll mention that tomorrow. So I have a page for that. It's on Instagram and as well as Facebook. Um, we don't have we just I just kind of started this a couple months ago. I have a couple people that I work with and that are going to be good investigators, and I just haven't had time to really do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm usually you know I'm usually wanting to go someplace, but it's just the fact that with work, even though it's getting to be the down season, you know, yeah, yeah, it's just I'm solo as of this summer, and it's been the best year for me yet. So you do
Yeah.
you. Yep. Thank
Yeah.
you, Jamie.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was at 5 and I'm down to 2.
Yeah.
So, but I
Yeah.
mean,
So
I roam with
it
other
happened.
teams.
Yeah. And that's what my other host Kelly from Cemetery Files, she um hops on to other people's trains, basically, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because they
Mm-hmm.
ask her, "Hey, you want to come join us?" She's got her own K2 Paranormal. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, but she's also, she's done a hell of a lot more than I have in the last year, and now she's kind of regretting it because she's spent, you
Yeah.
know.
And Michael's hit it at the head here. A lot of drama,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's
drama is like the be all end all bullet that will end any group, and that goes back to any paranormal group or any music band. Drama
hmm
will end, and so it's like, yeah, any group of people that you put drama in the mix, somebody is going to be a victim of it somewhere.
you know, and much like you with residentials, it was
Hmm.
one and done for me because they
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
they wanted me to be their show. Basically, they wanted to see all my equipment,
Hmm.
and I just I looked like a fool.
Hmm.
So I just said, okay, enough of this of looking like a fool. So I referred them to another team to just say, hey, that's it.
Right, right.
You know, so it didn't take long for me.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
mean, I'd like to do, these locations that are old and been around
Hmm.
for a couple hundred years, and you know, even if I don't get anything, it's
The
awesome
history
being those.
implications is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like spirits come second. I mean, it's a bonus if you get it, or the
Hmm.
EVPs. I mean, you may have a crap night, but your EVPs will tell you differently.
Right, right. And
It's,
you can get, excited about the historical ramifications of a building and
mm-hmm,
its nuances, and I mean, so a lot of people there are some people, I say a lot, there's a few people that are in the paranormal field just to get that thrill and to get that, that aha moment, and that's great and everything, and they could care less about the history.
mm-hmm,
It's like, if you're really there with your intentions and you want to know the history, you want to connect with the history or the building itself. And I will tell everybody this: if you're listening and you want to investigate, the first thing that is really, and I was told by a friend that I did another interview with, and he had a very good point. It's not my saying; it's somebody else's. Is that you kneel down in front of a building and you connect yourself with that building and let them know what your intention is in that sense. You know what I mean? If your
mm-hmm.
intentions are good, that you're gonna connect, you know.
Absolutely.
Night, Jamie Lynn.
Night, Jamie Lynn. Nice to see you in here.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I work for the Washara County Historical Museum in Watoma,
Hmm.
and you know, just for that fact of all the history that's been going on in Watoma and Plainfield and all that stuff. And that's as far as I'll go with it because I don't want to rub any wrong feelings because you
Hmm.
know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yep.
And but I mean, it's the building is just fantastic. Um, it'd be cool to just get you up there one of these days and just have you investigate it.
Hmm.
Um, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yep.
So true. The
Michael.
heritage
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hunters. Yep.
Yep. Connecting the history with and the paranormal. I mean, it's usually supposed to go hand in hand. You know what I mean? I mean, it's that's the kind of the draw is the fact that it's old. So there's, a lot of people might think it's got to be haunted. Not every
Right.
location has spirits. They can have
Right.
residual, but that's different, as well as that I know that it's just not the same thing. It's a
Right.
great experience. To get residual is a great catch.
Yeah. If you
You
get
know
it
what I
at the
mean?
right time.
Right, right. You gotta be there at the right time, but it's just, and having an intelligent, you know, uh response from something, that's even better. But it doesn't always happen that way. And a lot of the
Hmm.
times, like as well as I do, we're sitting in an empty room for hours on end with nothing happening.
Absolutely. And and the thing is too with a lot of people mistaken that you know they want like the spirit should be out there and playing with you and doing this and doing that with you. It's like,
They're
uh-uh,
not on demand. They're not on command.
we're the ones that are on the clock,
Right.
not them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'll come and spank you in your ass when you're sleeping, for Christ's sake.
Right. When you
You
least
know,
expect it, that's when usually
exactly.
things happen.
Exactly.
So,
But um, yeah. So, do you have a bucket list at all? At
oh,
this point in
do I have
time,
a bucket list?
it sounds like a dumb
um,
question. Don't.
no, there's no dumb questions. I just some of these places I've been to already. One is probably one of the top out of the top 10 or top 5, I should say.
Hmm.
Is the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado.
Oh, you're gonna have
I've
to
been there.
mark that one off.
Yeah, I've
They
been there
won't allow
twice.
investigations no more.
No, I've been there twice, and one of them I did a walkthrough just by myself. I mean, and I
Okay.
had some experiences. I wanted to be able just to stay there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that would
Just
be cool.
because the history I love the Rocky Mountains is my home away from home. I used to live in Colorado, so I
Okay.
experienced that when I was younger. And then when I would visit it periodically over the years, and I just took my wife there a couple of years ago, actually 5 years ago, and she had never been to the Rocky Mountains, and she said, "Oh, I've been to the Smoky Mountains, and they're so beautiful." I'm like, "Them ain't mountains. You want to go to the Rocky
Appalachia.
Mountains?" As soon as she saw the Rocky Mountains, she understood what I was talking about. She's like, yeah, you're right. Okay. And yeah, so Stanley is a gorgeous place. And
Hmm.
I have this connection. I feel comfortable in Estes Park and the whole 9 yards, even in the mountains.
I heard there's a pet
My
cemetery out there too.
Probably, that wouldn't surprise me. Um, my probably my fourth one, or out of the top 10, my ninth one would have been um Tombstone.
Okay. Heard lots of good stuff about
Um,
that.
and then that would probably filter down to Big Nose Kate's place, and um, what was it? There's another building there. I can't remember, but yeah, and that
Birdcage.
and yes, the Birdcage. Yep. So, and then probably seventh on my list would probably be Seth Bullock and the Bullock Hotel in Deadwood,
Hmm.
South Dakota.
I have to look at that one up.
Okay, so Seth Bullock, if you ever watched the Old West on HBO Deadwood,
Mm-mm.
right? Oh my god, you got to watch that. You would get a whole different idea of what Deadwood was like back in the Old West. Same place that Wild Bill Hickok was shot.
Okay.
He's buried up there. He's buried there next to Calamity Jane, and a bunch of other people. But that cemetery, I have not been there yet, and my
Okay.
wife had, and I was jealous. I told her to take pictures. Um, Seth Bullock was the sheriff of Deadwood, but as he also owned um, uh, a store that had, like, for miners and stuff like that. But he built this hotel. It's called the Bullock Hotel, and it's known to be haunted. Hickok Hotel in Deadwood too. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many
They
different,
might be
and
on some paranormal shows, maybe.
it's really not. I mean, I
Really?
think there was one episode, and I think of Ghost Adventures, I think it was, but
Oh yeah. See,
Deadwood,
I don't follow him.
yeah, I don't
Hey,
either, but I'm just
Travis.
saying, I think that from what I'm understanding lately is that Deadwood is one of the most uninvestigated places for some reason. I don't know why, but
Hmm.
I mean, people can prove me wrong, but I mean, that's just what I've been hearing lately. But yeah, the Bullock Hotel is one of the most haunted places in Deadwood. Cemetery. Also, I've been to the Waverly House in San Diego. Okay.
I've heard
I love
about
that
that one.
place. That place is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um, Let me see. There was someplace else in
Winchester.
yes, that was in California. Yes, when I've never been there,
I
My
haven't either.
sister and her son, my nephew, had an experience there years ago, and it freaked them out. So yeah, that's another place. There's also an old hotel. God, what is that? I
San
can't
Francisco.
remember. Yeah, it's an old fancy hotel.
Yep.
That
Shoot.
one.
That's got a lot of deaths in it. People jump from their
Yes,
deaths. Yes.
yes, yeah.
Um, it'll come to me,
I
but
can't.
I look at
Yeah,
Alcatraz.
right. Alcatraz, in that sense, yeah. That's more emptier than you know,
Mhm.
than you realize. I mean, there's some things there, but um, yeah. I mean, there's so many things. Gettysburg is probably the number one on my list, hands down. Anything and everything to do with Gettysburg, that's that is a big draw for me. I have a relative on the Confederacy side that was a captain in the Confederacy, and I think he has a plaque in one of the museums. So,
Okay.
and actually, we actually I think had Union soldiers on our side too. So we were kind of like both families had, both.
I hear
So
all
yeah,
about them tearing.
yeah, oh yeah. And I told her, and I tell her all the time, if she's not in she hasn't moved to Gettysburg yet, she's missing out. I said, and I told her that she needs to do that, but she's afraid to, I think, do it financially. I think it's a big change,
Yeah, it is. And you
So
know, she's
I
got a
get
lot
it.
of good stuff going on in Philly. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just when you're in that aspect of where she's at, there's just so much stuff. It's not even funny that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I get it. I really do. Um, I mean, for me, Amityville,
No, I have no desire to go to that place. None.
I would sit there for a month and just sit there, and I would make it into a paranormal center, basically. Bring your
Mm-hmm.
gear, let's test it here.
Right. And that's
But
and that's where people are different. Where that's something that draws you, and that's something that I have no interest in whatsoever.
mhm,
It's a tragic story,
mhm.
and we're going to talk about it on one of our episodes of Paranormal Triangle, and which is fine. But I'll be honest. I mean, it's just some of that tragic events like that. They don't scare me. It's just it unnerves me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It kind of gives me that uneasy, nervous feeling. Like there are other things that basically spirit says that you can do besides focus on something like that. You know what I mean? But there's people that do care like that place, and that's totally fine.
See, what bothers me is that they'll talk about the murders and they'll talk about the Lutzes and all that stuff, but they don't realize that that house wasn't there. There was another house there before that house was there. It was moved 2 blocks away. There was an
Hmm.
Indian fight on the land.
Hmm.
They don't talk about that, and now they were buried upside down and were face down in the ground.
Hmm.
And the owner that built the house, he's the first one to die in it.
Hmm.
And they don't talk about that stuff. I'm like, that's the heart of it right there.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
you know. That's I guess that's where I come into that. I mean, the murders happen. Whatever happened to the Lutzes happened because hey, we weren't there when it happened, right?
Right. Right.
So it's their story against our story.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the
Right.
hoax thing, I just don't buy into it,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. But that's my point of view of it.
Right, right. And that's why we are able to have these points of views and these opinions about certain places and things, and that not everybody's going to think the same or agree with everything. And
Right.
that's totally fine, but
Absolutely.
that's a worthy discussion to
Mhm.
have, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean it's just, yeah, there's so many different places on the East Coast that, I mean, you could walk up and down some of the colonies, and I mean, I would probably be like, yep, yep, that's got spirits, that's got spirit, you know what I mean? And it would be
Hmm.
every other house or every house because of the fact that
Right.
the history there is so rich. And the
Hmm.
land, what a lot of people don't realize too is it's not so much these buildings are haunted, it's the land that has the energy that comes out that affects what's in the house or
Absolutely.
on the land. You know what I mean? You can walk by it
There's
or
a lot of tribes out there back in the
right,
day. A
right.
lot.
Have you ever walked down the street and you know that there's been a tribe or been a Native American land somewhere around? Anybody that's in the chat can back me up on this. If you walk by and you kind of feel like you're tilted or you felt off or you felt like you're going to fall over or you're drunk or that energy, that's where that comes straight up out off the ground, and it's not something in the air. It's
Hmm.
something that you probably walk through, the energy, that.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize that. There'll be times where I'll be walking and my feet will, and it'll be someplace I haven't been before, and my
Hmm.
feet will feel like I'm hauling cinder blocks.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, you're
you know,
just bogged down. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it feels like you have that pressure, like gravity is really working overtime today. You know,
Right.
so yeah,
I
that's
mean,
just
I live in Winnebago County, and Winnebago is
yeah,
Indian right there.
mm-hmm, yeah,
So, I mean, we got the mental institution that's, um, that's down by Asylum Point, and that's all Indian burial mound land.
mm-hmm.
Um, so it'll be interesting when that mental institution closes because, I'll be right there real quick to say, hey, let me in. I want to investigate.
Right, right, right.
But
Yep.
it's all interesting stuff, and that'll be an interesting episode to watch and when you guys talk about that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's talk about podcasting. So what
Okay.
got you into podcasting? Is it COVID? Because that's kind of like where I feel everybody got into podcasting.
Uh, no, actually, I was a guest on a podcast show, and I was kind of, I had done some investigations at the mansion in Lake Geneva, and we just had our newspaper article in Lake Geneva Regional News, and um,
Hey, Taryn.
the hey Taryn, um, there was a show
She needs
that
some
wanted,
alcohol.
yeah, sorry I couldn't come on today.
It's all
I
right.
see how you are, Taryn. Uh huh. No, it's all right.
Uh,
It's all good. I talk to you enough anyway. So, um, I was on a show, and the show went fine, and it was my first one, and it was really cool, and but I did notice that things kind of didn't seem to vibe right, and it was a little bit too much dead air, or it was something along those lines, and I'm like, okay. After I was done, yes, I did. I did. That was when we're talking about the remote viewing, and I was doing the visual walkthrough. Yeah,
mhm.
she. I did mention that to him. So yes, our remote investigation. Yes,
Yep.
and we need to do that again. So, but anyways, so yeah, we, I basically thought, I think I can do this, and I felt this
Mhm.
urge to do this, and the next couple days I saw an ad about a podcaster just lost the show that he was on. The guy just quit and then just got rid of everything and kind of left him in the dark. And so looking for a co-host for a new show, and I thought, oh, so I reached out to him and said, hey, my name is so and so, and da 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 da, and we hit it off. And he was like, yeah, he's into science and this and that. And I said, that sounds, I'll be your co-host. I mean, if you want me to. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, that'd be wonderful, and this and that. And by the time the end of the conversation, he said, I need to tell you some truth. I'm like, okay. He's like, really? I'm okay with being a co-host if you want to be the host. So it just totally went from me possibly being a co-host to automatically being thrust into being a host. And he says you can do whatever you want, and you can, we named it, and this and that. I named it, and you know, so I did everything from then on, and I was in control of it, and it was successful. And Shane Feek is a great guy, and um, you know,
I didn't know that guy.
yeah, yeah. So
Incredibly smart.
you have no idea. He makes me feel
Mm.
dumb. Yeah. So we just started to make it happen. I would create all the posters and the videos. For a while, I was doing video intros for the guests, and then people were not really giving a shit, so I stopped doing it because it took me at least 2 hours on my phone to do one 30-second spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a lot of time in doing that for the guest because I thought that the guest would deserve that, but nobody cared. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I stopped doing it. And I learned there was things I had to learn, and
Mm-hmm.
then once we started doing it and things went well, and I think our first guest was Our Haunted Lives, Christy and Dave Taylor. And I think I had April Bissett on after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a year later, I think I had Taryn on, and then I was on her show. And then, so yeah, I've met some great people, and I've learned a lot as going on compared to the equipment I started out with and to what I have now. I had to actually spend some money into this because now I'm going on my third podcast, and I'm like, okay, I need something that's going to last. So, I updated my microphone. I updated my computer. My computer is this big because it's a gaming computer.
Yeah.
But I've got the 1440 monitor, curved monitor, the 27 inches. I got that, the gaming computer that I just used this for.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not slow. It doesn't lag. I don't have any, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. I'm on my third web camera.
this
On
is
my third mic.
This is my third camera and second mic.
Second
So,
monitor. I got the curved monitor now. I broke the last one.
yeah,
Trying to mount a mic.
yeah,
Shotgun
this
mic.
is this is my third monitor because the other computer I had dual monitors.
Oh, okay.
So I had two 22s on my small table, and this was, all these were like 5-6 years old. They're like 10 years old now. So I mean, my computer kept shutting down and restarting by itself, and I was like, I've had enough. I need to get something that's decent. So I
Yeah, we're looking at another one.
spent the money. Yeah, for my little box here for that's my computer is $400. It's got Windows 11. It works. I don't have any problems with it. Graphics are good, sound is good. So paid $150 for my monitor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we have the same taste here almost in a way. I mean,
yeah.
I had a Shure mic that kind of looked like those old time mics. It's actually sitting over there as a trophy, and now I'm on to, I forgot what this one's called, but it's USB, XLR, all in one type deal. But and then I got my soundboard, which is the manual caster 200, I believe. But
right. Yep. Yeah, I had to upgrade a little bit. I got a gaming keyboard that all my light up red. I like the color red. My mouse is a gaming. My whole system's a gaming system. It's just because of the fact that it lasts. I've had no problem with my mic or my mouse or my keyboard. And yeah, so I'm pleased. I just invested a little bit of money in my camera. It serves the purpose.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yep.
but
And I
yeah.
told you about the camera I'm looking at, but that's gonna be a
Mhm.
while before I get that because they're not
Yeah,
cheap,
right, right.
folks. They're not
And
cheap.
what a lot of people don't realize too is you get what you pay for.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mostly, and that even goes down to food. You get what you pay for the most part. If it's worth it, it's going to cost you some money. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
if
I
you're
mean, I
getting a
paid
steak,
$65 for my Anchor webcam right here, but
yeah, no, and that's a good camera. Mine, I've got some lighting issues that I need to work with, which is fine.
oh,
I'm
you
just
gotta have
trying
the,
to,
the soft box, the hair light. No,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have
I'm
any of
just
that stuff.
no, I just yeah. There's some things that I need to work on lighting, but yeah, for the most part, this serves the purpose. So.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
absolutely.
not in a studio per se.
Right.
Until somebody wants to pay me to put me in a studio, fine. But
Oh,
this
wouldn't
is
that be
as
nice?
good as it gets. Yeah, no shit. This is as good as it gets. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in my man cave. This is where this is at. I got a
Eh,
115-inch screen on the other side of me.
Nice. Nice.
But like I said, it works. It works, and that's how we move on. And
As long as you feel comfortable sitting in front of what you're doing, you know?
yeah,
I
I ain't
mean,
gonna
if
lie.
you
There's times where I'm like, I got a
Uh-huh.
podcast tonight.
I was like that this morning. I told Kelly, I said, can you go solo? I said, I'm not feeling the greatest. And I wasn't. I was exhausted. For some reason, also, I had this energy, like all my energy was gone. I'm like, where'd it
Hmm.
go? And then basically, Spirit said to me, you can't always, you know, not do what you don't want to do. This is another show with a new guest. I'm like, okay, I got it. I got it. So I got the energy to get up and do it.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it was one of our best shows because Spirit came through and I was giving this girl a reading of her whole life, or not her whole life, but where she was and all these things I was seeing. And it wasn't, and I told her, I said, I don't want to impose. And she's like, oh no, no, that's totally fine. But Kelly was like, couldn't believe it. She's like, you were right about everything. And I'm like, I don't know where it came from. But then I had energy after that. I'm like, oh, my energy came back. I was like,
Hmm.
so, and she was one of those people that you talk to and you connect right away. And then it was just easy to have that conversation. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it was a great show. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's just really weird. I get the
Yeah.
whole, sometimes when you're tired and, I've had to do that where I've canceled on one or two people over the years.
Hmm.
And one person, which I'm surprised at. I won't name names, but I was very surprised at him for acting this way. But I tried to contact him right after that, and saying let's get you on the show and reschedule and this and that. He never. He had no. He's basically ignored me. Which, when you're sick and then something happens, it happens. You
That's
know,
life.
it is. You know,
We
I
can't
mean, it
control
just.
it.
Mm-mm.
And and that's the thing. I had a couple people cancel me last week, but I mean, it's life, and
Right.
I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. It's just
Right.
a podcast.
Right.
We could
Right.
reschedule when you're ready to do it, and they're both ready to reschedule. But
Hmm.
it's okay. It's okay
Right.
because number one, I don't make money doing this,
Right.
and number two, this is to meet new people, meet audience that's in the chat right now that has stuck with me ever since I got going.
Hmm.
And just last week I asked the person's like, hey, And I'm gonna ask you too in chat. It's like if there's somebody that you want me to get on, just let me know. Send me a message in Messenger, and I'll try my hardest to get that person on. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I cater to the group or to the chat because that's what makes this work.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. Yeah.
You know,
How many people
so
do we have in the chats now?
I'm not quite sure yet. Last time I checked, 3 it looks like.
Okay.
Yep. So I mean,
Yeah.
we're a little almost an hour, a little over an hour in, but um, w-
Yeah, I used to have StreamYard and I switched to Restream because the layout is a lot cooler and
I might have
uh
to do that because I'm
because
I'm
I
fighting with
had
the
really
money.
bad echo issues with StreamYard and yeah, they were kind of dropping the ball because they're not updating anything. It's the same thing it's been since a couple years ago, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, there might be some small things, but I just wasn't happy with it. And when I switched to Restream, I have so many different more options that I could utilize that
You probably
it
get it
just
too with the free option too, because when you go to the free option, you lose everything in here.
oh yeah. Yep. I pay for the same thing I paid when I was on Restream. I had the
Okay.
professional level. I paid $50. Restream's the same price, $50. And but
Okay.
you get a lot more and you get it's just it's an easier for me, it's an easier interface. You know what I mean? And the picture's good and I mean there are times where um with anything, with any type of streaming service, you're gonna run into glitches. I don't care
Yeah.
where it is. I mean, there's so many. I know, and I read the reviews, and I did my research before I switched because I was okay with Streamyard. I just was really upset the fact that they were having some glitches enough where the echoing and all that, and
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
There's a lots that go into it, and
mm-hmm,
that's another thing. People don't realize what goes into doing all this stuff, and um,
mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, you
yeah,
want to
I
make
get
sure
that.
that your show goes off without a hitch, but
Hmm.
9 times out of 10, there's something that happens. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Do
So
you want to talk about your new project?
yeah, sure. So
I'll
I have
flip
a
it
new
on the screen
project.
here. Here it
Yes,
is
I
on
have
the
this new
screen.
new new project. Actually, it's been in the works for a little bit, but yeah, I want to be able to go out west. Um, I have a lot of ideas for the documentary to share some great history with the Old West, about the Old West, and there's a lot of stories that are untold, and I know this, and so I am trying to raise some funds to do this. If anybody sees this, to me, yeah, GoFundMe is kind of generic, but it's the only one that I trust right now
Uh-huh.
because there are other ones that are, you just I made the mistake of posting it on Twitter, and then every scammer came out of the woodwork to say, "I can promote you. I can promote you. I can," and they just made their page the same day. You know what I mean? I have one. Yeah, they have one follower, and it's like so that was really discerning. But I did um, share it with some other people. I shared it with my friend Bree Hollingshead. She's the paranormal road tripping with Bree,
Mm-hmm.
and she's been a big supporter, just like Jamie Lynn's been a big supporter. I think Jamie Lynn actually contributed to the GoFundMe page, and so yeah, I mean it's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
If I had the money, I would just pay for it myself. But at that time, I still needed, which I did because I needed some new equipment, which is what I'm using right now. I saved up the money to do that, and so if anybody feels that wants to see a good paranormal documentary about the old west and with investigations or whatnot, this is hopefully, I'll let a little bit of the cat out of the bag now. This is hopefully the beginning documentary of a pilot for a TV show. So this is going to be partly connected. It depends on what happens in the next, I would say, 3 months.
Hmm.
But this is, the initial start of it. And having these able to accomplish the things that I need to accomplish with the travel, paying editing, for people to do editing and stuff like that, and to have a camera guy and to do. So yeah, this is not just me with a camera walking around, ghost towns and the old west just filming. I am working on trying to get a professional film crew there to be able to do this. So if I can do that, it just makes it a little bit more plausible, you know what I mean, to be able to do it. Makes
Right.
more sense to be able to do that. If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it the right way. And
Right.
I'm not going to
Here's the
half-ass it.
link at the bottom there for you. If for those that inclined to do so, the link is at the bottom of the screen. So you can go to that link there to help him out to do that project.
And I
And I did
appreciate
share
that.
that on Facebook too. So
Okay, great. No, I really appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, it's an uphill battle for me with this, but I got to do what I got to do to make this happen. You know what I mean?
right,
I mean, you can,
right,
stand there and do nothing and nothing's going to happen, or you're going to be a go-getter and make something happen. You know what I mean? So,
you know, you gotta do
but yeah.
that.
And in the paranormal world, that's basically, you know, you have to forge your own path.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't ride anybody's coattails. You can't steal anybody's ideas. You have to be your own entity.
Yep. Original is best. It's the way
Yep.
I find it. And if
Yep.
they like what they see, then more ways will come to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh
Doors will
yeah.
open, and before you know it, you'll be like Zach Bagans, $5 million richer every year.
Oh my gosh.
Mic
That's
drop.
one thing. That's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing. About some of the paranormal TV shows. Um, they are what they are, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all I'm gonna say. But what my idea that I'm working with a couple other people and have the idea of making a legitimate show where people can hear and see the real history,
Mm-hmm.
the real investigations, and the real time that it goes into preparing this and to do this. You know what I mean? So
Right.
squeezing it into a half hour or an hour TV show, it's like, all they see all the great hits, but if you want the honest truth about some of this stuff, yeah, like I told you before, we sit in a room for 3-4 hours at a time and nothing happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, nobody wants to see that, but
I
to
do.
actually yeah, well, to actually, you know film some of that in a way where you could speed it up, or you can, kind of give snippets of it so that they know, and maybe somebody will see something that
Mm-hmm.
we didn't, or I didn't, or you know what I mean. So I mean, there's different ways to do it, and the idea that I have, that I can't divulge that information now, but it's nobody's doing it, and
Okay.
it's a fantastic idea, and the person I talked to is super psyched about it. And so yeah, and just like when I was one of the first ones to actually do my podcast in a haunted house. At that
Yeah.
time, I had not known anybody that was doing that. I had residents in this haunted hotel, and I was doing it every week. And not that I know that anybody was doing that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I wanted to do something different. And I walked up to this lady. I didn't know her from Adam, and then said, "Hey, can I do a podcast in your hotel? Because I know it's haunted." And she
Right.
knew it was haunted, but she was so, she's a good friend, and she, was glad to have me there. And so yeah, it's just, and then when they expanded, then I ended up, moving out because there wasn't enough room for me, which was fine. It's a business
Yeah.
decision, and I respect that business. It's their business. They paid a lot of money for that business to make it work, and I'm so happy for them that they did.
Yeah.
So yeah. The Maxwell Mansion in Lake Geneva. If anybody hears this and is from the area, knows what the Maxwell Mansion Boutique Hotel is, go check it out. It's full of great history. The building itself, the house itself, is fantastic. They have a speakeasy at the bottom of the in the basement
Hmm.
that looks like a speakeasy bar. It's awesome. I've gotten an EVP down there before. So
Wow.
yeah. So I mean,
I
there's some
think
great places around there.
when we were in Lake Geneva last, I believe we stayed at the hotel. It was kind of up on a hill, and it was ties to the Playboy Mansion.
Oh, Grand Geneva.
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm
So that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. That's got a lot of history itself. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
yeah. I know that there's some different things there that I would like to investigate. I haven't quite seen anybody about that, but yeah, there's a couple things on my uh, other list that I marked down that I need to look at it too in the future. So, and there's
Right.
quite a few places around Lake Geneva here in Wisconsin too. Chicago's another one. That's a whole different one.
Oh yes.
Eventually I want to be able to do another part of the documentary on the mob scene of the 1920s and 30s.
That'd be
And
interesting.
yeah, and you know, the Congress Hotel, the Drake, and all of that. Yeah. So that history downtown is incredible. You know, and I
Hmm.
have a little bit of somewhat ties with the mafia than back then in that time. My uncle, who was born in 1902, was actually in trouble with other men back in the 20s and 30s. Where can't say for sure that if he was part of that group with Capone, but it fits. He used to have to hide out at my parents' house back in the 50s. When the heat
Wow.
would come on him, he would have to go hide out. So he would stay with my parents. My
Very
parents
interesting.
were older. They were both my parents were born in 34. So, and
Okay.
my dad's dad was born in 1881. So my grandpa was born in 1881. He
Wow.
was around when Billy the Kid was around, which I still thought was a really cool story.
Yeah,
So
that's a cool
yeah,
story to understand that.
yeah. So that's part of the reason I love the Old West. I love the stories about Billy the Kid, and you know, even Seth Bullock and all that. It's just there's so many different stories out there. You know,
Oh
and
yeah, I get that.
yeah, yeah,
And that's all ties to the paranormal stuff too. So
right.
that's the
So
best thing
my
about it too.
part of my project that I want to do, being out west and investigating and doing this documentary, is I want to do a show. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I had thought about this the other night. I want to do a show at the grave of Doc Holliday.
Ooh.
I want to be able to connect with him because I've kind of connected with him before,
Hmm.
and inadvertently, and because I know that he hasn't crossed, he wanders. But yeah, I was thinking about that the other night, and I thought that would be a great idea if I could interview him in that sense. I would love to do that at his grave. I would love
Oh yeah.
to be able to, even if it's one word answers. If it was, a yes or no, or if it was something, you know what I mean? I
Hmm.
want to know. I want to know what they did and how they did it, and you know
How
what
well
was
the
the
showdown went.
yeah. I want to know all that stuff. And
Yeah, it's like
so
a 12-second showdown, wasn't it, or something like that?
right. Yeah. So when I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about him, and I thought this would be a really good idea. I was thinking in my head this was going to be a really good idea, you know. And then I heard out of the blue, he's like, "I'd show up for that." I'm like, "Okay." So that right there was freaky enough for me. But
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, I'm basically now kind of connected a little bit with him, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it costs money to do this. I said, I don't have the money to do this. And you know what he said? Why don't you take one of those flying thingies to? And I'm like, really? I'm like, come on. So yeah, so yeah,
Another good one would be Wyatt Earp. That'd be interesting.
yeah. Him and his wife, I think they're that grave. There was somebody else too. I mean, um, Wild Bill Hickok, yeah. Uh, Calamity Jane. Calamity Jane hasn't crossed either.
Hmm.
I think Wild Bill has though, but Calamity Jane, she she was a she was a pistol.
Very
And
interesting.
when I say that she's a pistol because I call my other host Kelly, she's a pistol too because the fact that you just don't know what they're gonna say. You know?
It's like hold the B button.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
This is a fantastic interview. I would love to have you back on, talk
Yeah.
about your project again, see how far
Mm-hmm.
you are with it, and
Mm-hmm.
just want to greatly appreciate you being on. And do you have a message you would like to leave with the viewers tonight, so they can go home and say, "Hey, I heard this message tonight, and it's such a wonderful message to carry on."
Yeah, it's something I just started saying a while ago, but I've always believed it. Always be of good repute and even better character.
I like that.
So, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. See here, we got in the comments.
Thanks, Penny.
Penny, thank you for coming. Thank you all for joining us for tonight's show. And remember, you've been watching the Paranormal Brew and the BB3 TV networks. And if you don't have Facebook and you have YouTube, you could join us on the MGS Paranormal YouTube channel as well. So with that, he's JD Hill, and I am Darren, and I bid you adieu. So long, everybody.